Namaste!
Namaste.
Namaste, Anup!
Namaste, Hajit.
Namaste, Techies!
Namaste, Techies. Hello.
All right, the two funny guys are back.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, I'm really amazed that we were able to do these connections and the recordings like practically half the world away, right?
Yeah,
Like we're
exactly.
literally sitting in the same room and doing this stuff. It just fascinates me. You know?
and it's kind of a night time for me, and it's a morning time for you,
Yes,
right? So
yes. Yeah, we have to play with the time zones and
yeah,
but we're making it work. It's good.
yeah.
So, anyways, we want to continue the series on modern management, right? Microsoft Endpoint Manager, which covers a lot of different tool sets, right? A lot of different things. At our last show, you did a demo about tenant attach, how to attach your config manager or SCCM site to the cloud, right? And then today we are going to focus on co-management.
Yes, today is co-management, and we are going to show some fun stuff related to applications and configuration policies in co-management world, right?
Right.
So,
So
l-
the gist of what co-management is, people say, what is co-management? What? So it's basically having your clients managed by config manager. You know, now they're registered. Now they're in the cloud, and you can shift workloads if you want. For example, applications to Intune or this side and some security stuff and right? Various things you can do. So that's something you're going to show today.
yeah. So let me share my screen, and hopefully you can see a beautiful picture created by Microsoft.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Okay, so as Harjit mentioned, we already covered the first part of it, right? Tenant attach
Mhm.
we have already covered, and we have a video about that. We have we have an episode about that, so probably we can share that in the description and link that to the video also, right? And
Yes.
today we are going to talk about co-management workloads, a couple of workloads in co-management, how to do that and how to test it, and what would be the Windows 10
Hmm.
side experience of it, right? And and this is very useful diagram from my perspective, because it shows the entire journey, right? Probably we can start with tenant attach, and then we can move to kind of co-management and co-manage workloads, and then the stages, and the third stage is basically cloud native management, right, of devices, right? Okay, so let's show something about co-management. So this is co-management, as Harjit
Hmm.
already mentioned. Um, so basically, co-management is uh, managing Windows 10 devices concurrently with Intune and Configuration Manager, right? So that is basically co-management, and you can see the workloads are getting shifted from a Configuration Manager to Intune, and all those kind of options, right?
Hmm.
So we are going to go to the same place where we started. Tenant attached journey in the previous video, right? I went to this co-management cloud services co-management node and opened the properties. And once I opened the properties, you would be able to see. in this environment, we have already enabled the co-management and cloud
Right.
attached, right? But today we are going to concentrate on workloads. So before going into workloads, I think you need to make sure that all the prerequisites are in place, right? So that is pretty important for co-management. So you can see the prerequisites over here before you begin. There's a great documentation from Microsoft. You can go
Mm-hmm.
through what are the requirements they have mentioned, right, for co-management to work in a supported way, right, with all the features, right? Okay, so we will link. Don't worry about the documentation. We will be link all these
Yes.
what do you call all these Microsoft
Resources.
documentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these resources into the description of the video.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go back to the workloads tab over here, and in the workloads you can see like there are several workloads. So one is first one is complaints policies, device configuration, and device configuration has two sub workloads, if I can
Mm-hmm.
say like that, right? If you move device configuration to Intune, then the other sub workloads will automatically get shifted to that, right? So that these two are dependent on device configurations. You cannot do independently one particular workload, right? So,
Right.
and the third one is client apps, right? Client apps is basically application deployment and related stuff, right? Like PowerShell script deployment, etc. through Intune. Once you move from configuration manager, so what is the kind of scenario over here? So for example, if I'm planning to move my application deployment stuff to from configuration manager to Intune for a pilot purpose, then you need to
Mm-hmm.
move the slides, move here, right? Move to here, right? And once you are happy with the pilot, right, then you can probably move to the Intune,
Full
fully
into.
Intune, yeah, fully Intune side. So Microsoft has given us a good option in staging, right, for the
Yeah.
pilot purpose, right? So for the pilot purpose, you can see you can specify a particular collection, right? Only
Yeah.
the devices in that particular collection will get this kind of policies, right? So for example, if the pilot collection contains two or for example 5 missions, then only those 5 missions will get the Intune preference
Mm-hmm.
or Intune as a management authority, right?
Right.
Okay, so over here I'm going to move back these two slides, okay, workloads into the pilot Intune, and you can see over here in staging it changed now, right?
Right.
It's you need to browse and you need to select one of the collection you want. So I'm going to select this one, um, and I'm going to use the same collection, okay,
Yep.
for both the workloads. And you can click OK, apply OK, and that means you have already started kind of deploying the co-management or testing the co-management with
Mm-hmm.
these two workloads or these four workloads, right? Okay, now let's go to assets and complaints and see which device I'm going to use for this co-management scenario, right? So this is the device or host I'm going to use for co-management, right?
The pilot
Prod,
one. Yep.
yeah, prod hyphen win20. And let's see that from a Intune portal perspective at the moment, right? So I have opened Intune portal, and this is endpoint.microsoft.com. And if I go to overview, you can see this device is co-managed, and let me go back to devices for easy discussions. Windows devices, and if I search with
Prod.
prod -win, you can see two devices, and we are talking about this particular device.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can see that this is co-managed device, so this is already in a co-managed state, right? And if you click on this particular device which we are going to talk about, you can see device configuration. I have deployed Intune policies, right,
Mm-hmm.
to this particular device. This is possible because we have moved this workload, right? Device configuration
Right.
workload, right? So device configuration workload we moved to pilot Intune. That is why I was able to deploy these particular policies. So for example, if this was here, then even though we use some group policy, and we have covered that also in the last
Yeah.
video, how to use group policy to enroll Windows 10 devices into Intune, right? So even though your device is Intune enrolled, and your device is managed by configuration manager, and you can deploy Intune policies to that particular device, because it will show up in Intune portal. But unless
Exactly.
and until you move this to Intune pilot or Intune, the policies won't get deployed to that particular device. The
Yeah.
Intune policies won't get deployed, right? You can try to deploy one particular policy before shifting this workload, and you can test whether that policy is getting applied to Windows 10 device or not, right? So you might see like, oh, that policy is not reaching because you have not moved the workload. Okay, and you are managing the configuration policies with configuration manager, right?
Right.
Okay, now let's go back to applications and see how I deployed some applications. So there are two kinds of applications over here, right? So one is configuration manager based applications, and the other one is Intune managed applications. So these are Intune managed applications. So some of the applications are already deployed to this particular device, right? Because we are able to deploy application through Intune, because we have moved the client application workload
To pilot.
to pilot Intune, right?
Yeah.
So if you are not moved this workload to Intune, even though you deploy applications to a Windows 10 client from Intune, it won't reach there. The policies won't get applied, and the application deployment won't happen, right?
Right.
Okay, now let's see. Let's quickly go to the client side of things, right? And show you how it looks at the client end. Right. First thing, you need to make sure that the famous configuration manager applet, right, from the control panel, you can
Mm-hmm.
launch this. And oh, okay, not this one. Control panel. Where is the control panel? Okay, anyways, you can launch the control panel, and you can open up this configuration manager applet, and in the general tab you would be able to see co-management is enabled, right? So
Yes.
this is one of the things you need to make sure your device is co-management enabled, right? So this means configuration manager understands that, oh, okay, this device, some of the policies on this device is managed by Intune, right? So configuration manager will allow Intune to manage those kind of workloads. For
Right.
example, in our scenario, it is like client apps
Applications.
and configuration policies and those security policies we have seen. So okay. And this is also like important in some scenarios, co-management capabilities, right? So if you move, I have seen, if you move more workloads into Intune, this number will get changed. So I don't
Mhm.
remember exactly which number is for which particular workload, but I have seen this also gets changed sometimes, right? Okay, now let's look at let's look at the software sender first, right? Software sender, you can see software sender, and in software sender you can only see the applications coming from SCM side. So Zoom, for example, Zoom, I have deployed Zoom application from SCM, right? So you can see over here, I can go back to SCM console or configuration manager console, and if I go to software library, you would be able to see Zoom application somewhere
At the
here.
bottom. In the
Yeah,
bottom.
yep. And you can see the deployments over here. I have
Right.
deployed to all users, right, or HDMD users. Okay, and it's an available deployment. So that is why you can see that over here, over there in the software center. And the other best way to look at this is basically if you go to this particular client and
Yeah.
go to properties, right, and you can see it over here in the
The
deployments, right?
deployments.
So see, you can see some of the configuration policies I deployed from SCM to that particular client, and some of the applications I have deployed. 7-Zip is one of the application, and I have deployed Microsoft Edge and etc., Firefox, etc. So all these things you can see in the client and in software sender. But the other interesting thing, and this is more exciting, is company portal, right? In company portal, even in company portal, you can see Zoom application. That's interesting, right? Because it is deployed from SCM, but you can still see Zoom application in company portal, right? And you can see the console application, which I deployed from SCM. Okay, and
Right.
even CM pivot I can see in company portal, but I can't see 7-Zip and some other applications, right? Why is that, right? For example, Teams. So what is the difference between Firefox, for example, if I take the example of Firefox, why this Firefox is not available in
In the
company
company
portal,
portal.
right? Let's find out that quickly by going back to the configuration manager console, and I'm going to cancel this and going to go to software library, and Firefox, right? If I check Firefox deployment, you can see there are two things, right? This is deployed to devices, not the user, right? And this is a required application, right? This is not an available application. So for example, if I check I don't know, not Chrome, so all uh, which is the other one, remote desktop, right? I can see the remote desktop in company portal, right? So you can see remote desktop is user deployment and it is available, and these type of user deployments are available in company portal if it's available, right?
So
So
user
that is,
deployments, but not device deployments, right?
yeah, and if it's available, then if it's
Okay.
required, it is not
Mhm.
shows up in the company portal. And for example, you can check basically console, right? So you can see HDMD collection, this is a device collection, and this is available.
Available.
but
Yeah.
but, but probably you would be able to see that in the company
Company
portal.
portal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's available, it will show up. It
Okay.
doesn't matter whether it's a user deployment or device deployment, right? So the required application won't show up in company portal, right? Okay. Now, this particular remote desktop, I have moved. What I did is for my testing, I have enabled this pilot workload thing and pilot Intune workload thing, and then I deployed a remote desktop application to this particular device. I wanted to check whether this is working or not, even SCCM deployment is working or not in the co-management scenario. So interestingly, this application showed up, right? And I have an option to install it, even though we moved workload to Intune. Okay.
Right.
And I have deployed, after enabling this workload, I have deployed Chrome also from Intune, and that also showed up as you have seen before. So now let's go back to the Intune portal and see some of the other stuff, which is basically the applications, right? Applications deployed through SCCM. So these are the applications you can check, which are the applications deployed through SCCM. So I think this was interesting demo. I feel
Mhm.
this is useful. Um, that was a quick overview of the end user experience and how to shift workload, etc. Right?
Right. Right. Okay. That's good. So yeah, so you can technically manage applications from both sides. Um, you can do some required applications from config manager, and required is basically meaning doesn't need user interaction because it's you're forcing it to install, so it doesn't need to show up in the portal. Um, and then you can deploy applications from Intune as well, and leverage. And the company portal is a new thing, right? I mean, it's something I think you can go check in the client settings and change that over there too, to switch it from Software Center to company portal. Or you can install both, right,
Yeah.
side by side like you did. So yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Yeah.
um, yeah, I think one of the as we go through our series of this modern management stuff, that we'll also start showing how to create those applications from Intune and the different types of it. You know, there's some pros and cons associated with that, and there's some additional steps you need to do to in order to pull in like Win32 apps
Mm.
and so on and so forth. So uh,
Yeah.
and also do supersedence. You can do supersedence through Intune apps. So that's pretty cool. And all right, so I guess that's it. So watch our video on tenant attach, and then watch this one, obviously. And what do you normally say?
Don't
Follow.
forget to share, subscribe, and like.
That's right. So until next time, you know where to find us.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Namaste.